Well, hey there, all. Cashmagnet coming at you on a special Saturday edition of a little live stream. Hopefully, this finds everybody doing well today. I'm still. Whoa. Okay, my Streamlabs changed on me, and I don't like it. And I'm having troubles finding my stuff. So kind of bear with me a little bit while you guys filter into the stream. I'm not finding what I'm looking for. Still not it. I'm running just a smidge late, and the Streamlabs updated right before. So I'm trying to get to my normal view. I guess this view is just going to have to work for me. Alrighty, what's up, Rashawn? B-Boy Tech, Adrian, took you by surprise, huh? Good deal. I like hearing that. Hometown Dispatch, so far so good. Good deal. The Cash Room with Greg in the house. Well, this is going to be kind of like a little special edition. I got approached a couple of times this week about doing, about how my network actually works. And one of the guys on Facebook said he was having problems. And I figured he did it exactly the same way as Rashawn did. And while it kind of works with how Rashawn has his setup, it's just not ideal. How Rashawn started out was he put the static IPs directly into the phone. Well, you can't do that. It's just not going to work. Think of if you do that and they're the same IPs. Well, they're not the same IP. Well, they actually are the same IPs, but they're fighting for that space. It's kind of like a funnel. And I'll explain that a little more. And basically what you're doing is you're pouring a lot of data into a small funnel. And it's just, there's not enough space for it to get through. So the data is going to get clogged up. But I'm downloading oh, there it is. I'm downloading a picture that I just took of my phones. So I'll get into this, and I'm gonna say a few things right off the bat. I cannot help you guys set up your network. I can't do it. I've tried a couple of times, and I just, there's stuff that I'm missing and not knowing how to do. So I can't help you out. That's what my tech guy Josh is for. Josh works for a very, very large company, and he is a network genius. And I'm gonna not even use the word genius lightly. This guy's brilliant. I'll give him a lot of kudos. It's really funny how I met Josh. I was on the Ubiquity forums last December trying to get some help. And I had a Ubiquiti guy trying to help me out. And this guy was clueless. Told me I was going to have to spend $1,000 on equipment. And Josh was in the forum as well. And he sent me a personal message there. And I was, I didn't want to get scammed. I was afraid, that I was going to get scammed. And, I asked him a couple of questions and I kind of blew him off, and I had my nephew helping me out. And, my nephew's very, very good at networking, but not good enough. And so I went until March, and I reached out to Josh again and said, okay, I've just cost myself a couple of $1,000 by not taking a chance. So I learned my lesson, and, Josh got me all set up. It definitely took him longer than he expected. He treated me pretty well, and I really appreciate that, because I had a lot of money sitting idle, a lot of phones that just sat there and were doing nothing. So if you guys have any questions, I don't know if Josh is in the stream or not. I think he was going to try to make it. I sat and talked to him for a while. I'm going to go over some things, and I want to tell you. Josh and I had kind of a good conversation today, kind of a longer one, and I'm gonna start out with just a few quick things. Got a couple of questions here. Hometown Dispatch, Josh is great. He set up my network as well. Good for you. That's awesome. Shout out Guru. How to set up static IP. One IP can connect to many devices. Yeah, one IP can connect many devices, but we're trying to get 4, and it's 4 devices for Cashmagnet per IP, and this is IP4. I'm not familiar with IP6 because that is not available for me, I don't believe. So I will tell you some things real quick. Josh's pricing is $125 an hour. The more you get set up on your own, the better. So if you can get your router online and connected to your modem, that's going to save you money. If you can get your AP connected to your router, your access point. Don't confuse routers with access points. They kind of do the same thing, but not for our network. An AP is basically just like a funnel as well. All it does is just funnel all the data to the edge router. Now, I don't know if Josh is actually going to. Both of us are going to steer you guys towards the edge routers, and I'll step back a little bit here. So when you start getting your setup ready, you're going to have to contact your ISP and get your static IPs from them. And I'll show you later in the show what I pay for mine. But you also have to have your modem set up in bridge mode. That's absolutely has to be done. So once you have that done, then you're ready for Josh to do his setup. Trader Geo, I'm actually going to go over equipment today. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And then I'll show you guys a little bit about my setup here as well. I can't show you it all because A, I don't know it all, and B, some of it I can't show you because I can't show you my static IPs, but I do have some pretty pictures. So first off, I'm going to show you what I bought. Now, I paid more. I started out with an ER5 and it just kind of crapped out on me. And I don't know exactly what the deal is. But since I switched out routers, I'm having zero issues. So this is the ER12P. And the reason why I went with this is because I might look at getting more ISPs in the future. So I need more ports. The more ports that you can use, the more stuff you can hook up to it. So like I see Mark just came into the stream, and I know Mark went through Josh. Josh set up my business internet with 13 IPs and residential internet at the same juncture. There was no way I knew anyone that can and could do what he does. Flip, may I ask the stream about Swagbucks? Yeah. I mean, yeah, go ahead. While I go through my setup here. So I paid more, and you see, I paid, they're $300, but it gives me a lot of flexibility in the future, and it's a very, it's a solid router with very good specs to it. Now, what Josh recommends for most people is going with like the ER4. And that's what I almost bought. And I think Mark got the 12P as well, if I remember right. So what I've done is, from my access point, my access point is hardwired to, why don't I do it this way? So my access point is actually hardwired to my edge router. Now, the reason why we did that is because it runs with PoE, and PoE is power over Ethernet. So I don't actually have my access points plugged into a power to an outlet, which is great because one of them's on the ceiling, or actually high up on the wall, and it would suck to do it. It's kind of a pain to run Cat5, depending on where your router and your farm is. But yeah, Josh definitely recommends the Ubiquiti 4 or the 6 as well. Now, I know like Mark there, Mark's got a bunch of PCs that he's got. I think, how many PCs do you have, Mark? Like 3 or 4, or laptops connected to your router. So Mark is absolutely killing it on Honeygain right now, making like $4 a day because he's got so much plugged into it. Now, that being said, I mean, Mark, I think Mark is paying around $100 a month for his internet. Mine's $135, but his Honeygain is paying most of his internet. So, the Cashmagnet part is just all golden for him, and he's still ramping up his setup. And I think you got somewhere around 20 phones or so, I believe, on your setup. So those are the two that he recommends, and the 12P as well. I figured, for another $100, it's going to do some future proofing, and this is how much I believed in Cashmagnet when I really, kept going with my setup. Now, like I said, the more you can set up, the better. And I'm gonna give you a little special treat that Josh was telling me today. What you have to do is what's this? Okay, here's the access point that I have. I have two of them. One doesn't work very well because I kind of broke off the reset button. Eek. So I actually got to get another one, which it is what it is. It's my own fault for being sloppy. But it's got like the little, wonder if I can find it on a picture here. It's they don't show it. But the reset button is just horribly placed. It's awful. So, and this is a great access point. But what Josh has offered to do, and this is probably going to be for a limited number of people, and I do this with Josh. Okay, this is kind of a nightmarish thing, and it really sucks to try to set it up yourself. But Josh did this one for me, and so to actually see what's going on in your access point, it's got what's called a unify controller. So Josh is actually hosting this for me at no extra cost. And he said he would do the same thing for other people. This is it's an awesome thing. That's my 2.4 gigahertz band. That's my 5 gigahertz band. And you'll see more what I have going on here. So, because my other access point, I'm not able to modify it. It's got a very large number of 2.4 gigahertz phones on it. It's probably got somewhere around 30 to 35 2.4 gigahertz phones. Now, 2.4 gigahertz is great because it goes a long ways. But but it can't transmit a lot of data at one time. So I have a lot of problems, or have had a lot of problems with that 2.4 gigahertz band. Then you also see I have the majority of my 5 gigahertz phones that have migrated to the 5 gigahertz band. And, you know, it can handle that many phones because it has a lot of bandwidth. So it's a really big funnel, you know, and just think, this is my access point. It's nothing more than just a funnel. That's all it does. It funnels data. And that's where I'll get into here in a little bit, that data will get sorted out in the router, Ubiquiti router. So here's my phones, and I'll actually show you a picture here in a little bit of what's going on here. Now you see these IP addresses. Well, those are not okay. Actually, those okay. So my network starts with 10, and it looks like I have a couple of phones offline, but actually I've misplaced one of my phones and I can't find it, which is actually pretty funny. But I'm not really laughing too much at it. So these are internal IP addresses. These are what I actually assign phones. These IP addresses. I actually manually put these in. Let me see if I can find my picture. Where did I put my picture? Give me a second while I dig up my picture. I'll show you. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? There it is. Oops. Wait. Did I not? Maybe I'll have to take another picture. I am going to have to take another picture. What's going on here? Why did that do that? Give me a minute. Oh, now I see what I did. I imported it or exported it the wrong way from my brand new phone. Which we won't talk about my brand new phone for another couple of weeks because I'm mad. All right. I'll show you here in a second. There we go. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like on your phone. This is the IP that I put into the phone itself. So when you actually, if you look at a phone right now, click on it, click on your network, you'll see where you'll put in the password, and then you go to advanced, and you'll see it'll be DHCP or static, and you actually put in static on it, but that's where you put in these internal numbers from. And it's that part's really tedious, and you got to really be careful that you don't duplicate these numbers. So I have my network runs from 10 to 22. So this is actually the network here, 15. I'll show that a little bit. I'll get into that in a little bit. So this last number is just separating them out from each other. So I go, all my networks run from 10 to 22, and they all go from 11 to 14. And so I try to keep them straight, but it doesn't really happen. It's kind of a big mess. So you can't just put in your static public IP address. It's not going to work. You have to go with these private IP addresses on your phones when you're setting up a big network like mine. And here's where the heavy lifting gets. This is my ER12. This is the dashboard for it, when I log into it. So you see, here's my networks. That's coming off this access point. And that's where it's getting separated. It's where it starts getting separated, where the data makes sure it goes to the right phone and vice versa. Now, what happens after that point, let's see, where is it? Okay. So then what happens from there is it gets turned into, these are my static IPs. I block those out because you never want to share your static IPs. And how it gets transferred there is through a little complicated, let me see, there it is. Whoops. A little complicated setup called NAT rules. Here's my static IPs here, and they are pointing to the internal IPs and vice versa. So these NAT rules is what makes the connection points between your internal IPs and your external IPs. I know that sounds complicated, and this is exactly why I'm saying that don't try to do a setup on your own. It's not going to work. It's not going to work right. Now, because I have a complicated setup, I couldn't just plug and play Fluidstack. And Josh actually set that up for me. So I have Fluidstack running, which actually sucks for me. I don't hardly make anything with it. I don't even bother checking it. But these NAT rules connect the static IPs with your public IPs. Your public IP, if you were to do a search right now on your phone or your PC, type in what's my IP, it will show you what your IP address is on that device. When I do that, I double check when I put a new phone on. I check to make sure. And there's Joshua Moore in the live stream, and Josh is my tech guy. Nice seeing you here, Josh. Josh is actually, he's doing some Honeygain. He's doing all right with it. He does the Fluidstack as well, along with Packet Stream, which I definitely need to do a video on. Either he just joined me, or I'm not screwing things up and he's not yelling at me. So you see, it's a complicated setup. That's what Josh is for. Trader Geo, my brain hurts. Well, Josh right below him, man. That's the guy. So far, so good. I like hearing that. So in a roundabout way, it's going to depend on if you go to Josh for a setup. It's going to depend on how much you can do on your own, and if he can do everything at once. Hopefully he can get everything done in 1 to 2 hours for you. I know that might sound expensive, $250 or whatever, or even more. But I'll tell you what, it's if you get a big setup like mine, it's worth it. It's worth when you're pulling down $700, $900 a month. Big whoop on $200-300. And yeah, it kind of sucks a couple hundred more for the equipment, but you're talking $500 for the equipment and the setup. Now the phones are the expensive part, and that's the part that sucks, is the phones. We've all talked about the phones, being $30 to $45. So, and what Josh does, and I trust Josh completely. I think we were both a little leery of each other when we first had the, doing the first session and so forth. I gave him full access to my computer. He was on my computer with TeamSpeak, and like right now, Josh could log into he's got full login not only to I don't know if he's got my login for my, but he probably has login for my access point. But I know he's probably still got a login for my Edgerouter, and I'm not worried about it one bit. I trust him. So, that being said, if you're gonna try a big setup like this, don't do it on your own. Don't do it. Don't even try to do it. because honestly, if you're not a network engineer and a high-level network engineer, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. You're not going to be able to do it right. So let's see. I got a few other notes here. Okay, so here's what Josh said earlier. So usually an hour for the IPs, hour for the ISP modem setup, which hopefully you shouldn't have to do. You shouldn't have to do that. Hour for the wireless setup. Now, what he does with kind of like the wireless setup is balances out the APs and so forth. Yeah, and okay, here's another great point that he makes earlier. I asked, that's a good breakdown and exactly what I was looking for. Assumption also that I have an engaged person working real time on site, moving cables, rebooting, hooking stuff up, etc. Otherwise, it can be longer. So this is where the ball gets put into your court on the deal, and you got to be very specific in telling Josh exactly which ports you're using, what ports you have cables hooked into. What are the ports for? Let's see what else. One thing he talked about, he helped somebody out that was going to be about a $500 to do it all, and he did it for less. And I'm not really sure how that all worked, but. And like he said here, new modem, ER, APs, wireless controller, IPs, all at the same time. He was talking about a guy that had all of his ducks in a row, and it made things a lot easier on him. So, if you want to get all wild and crazy, hit him up. Big D, any good porn on Guru's computer? No. Josh, LOL, I wouldn't and don't want to know. Thanks. Bobby Yak, do you have an LLC? You could use that internet cost as a write-off. I do. I'm not an LLC, but because I work from home and work from my computer, I do write off all my expenses. Now, I do have an accountant, and we work through writing off the expenses on my phones last year, which was actually great because most of my phone's expenses were last year when I had no income coming in, or very limited income coming in from them. So that was nice. So I do write off my internet for as a business expense, and I write off my equipment as well. So did I forget anything, Josh? Do you have anything to add? I know I threw a lot of stuff at you guys. With the equipment. And I know the equipment, really the equipment is not the scary thing. The expense of having Josh do your setup, that's not the expensive thing. It's those phones. Yeah, and Josh is right here. Not really. It's all about getting the right details up front. He's so right. I'm going to pick on Rashawn here a little bit. Rashawn's got multiple. he's got a 5 static IP setup, and what he's done is he's actually got he put them on different routers. But here's the problem with putting it on different routers. The more SSIDs, which is basically what you name your network. For every network you add, it degrades. I forgot to put that in earlier. So having 3, not a real big deal. But once you start going more, and I tried to do this when I first set it up. I bought I bought these routers for $47 each. And what they did is they could handle 4 SSIDs. And it became an absolute mess. It was terrible. And I did that for probably 2 months. I just kind of screwed around and just didn't do it right, you know. And now I have equipment laying around that I have no use for. I just need to get rid of it. So don't try to fumble your way through this stuff, guys. You know, I've been there. You know, that's half the reason why I do this stream is because, you know, there's so much I have learned from wasting money and pulling out my hair, and the 50 hours of time I messed around with other routers and access points, and it was just a nightmare. I wasted so much time. I wasted so much money. Yeah, you know, like Josh said, you know, it's all about getting the right details up front, and it is. If he knows what ports he's working with and what you have plugged into the ports, and make sure that your modem is in bridge mode. Yeah, and when things go wrong, it's because of lack of communication. And yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. You know, we definitely had a lot of that on our first setup, you know, because I didn't understand the lingo, and I think Josh has got it down a bit more. You know, how many setups have you done, Josh? 3 or 4? Let's see. I'm not here to gouge anyone. I'm here to make some side money and maximize my time. I have a full-time engineering job for Fortune 100 company and a family. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fairly reasonable for, you know, look at the rate of investment. Bobby Yeck, I've always been fascinated with electronics and how they work. I'm even looking into e-waste recycling and set it up in my office. I like that. I like that side hustle. Yeah, Josh, yeah, those Cisco RV routers. Yeah. My I have a over $300 router sitting in the other room that I really just need to sell. It'd be a nice business router. It's just wouldn't work for what we're doing. Oh, you've done 6 on my 6th. Good. I love seeing that. You know, that's people making a lot of money. You know, Josh making some money on the side there, and you know, it's like him offering to host the Unify controllers himself, and that's awesome. You know, Bobby Yak, the creative mind doing these things to is what starts businesses, and big things come out of that. You bet it is, Bobby. You bet it is. I gonna give you a big clap there. Absolutely, fully agree. You know, I took the leap of faith last fall when everybody was burying Cashmagnet, burying them dead, and I was ramping up, and I got my full setup going in March, and I'm making really good money. And now that I'm, showing what's possible here, I'm absolutely not bragging about my setup, and I'm definitely not bragging about the money I make. I'm just showing you guys what's possible. Now with me showing what's possible here, Josh is helping out 6 guys, 6 other people. And we're not talking about making some ends meet here. We're talking about some nice money on it. If it was a couple $100 that people were making, yeah. But like with Mark, I don't know if other people have the big 13 IP setup. I think there's 1 or 2 others. Have the big 13 IP setup like mine. I don't know if they're all full yet. So, it's just I'm here to help people make some money. I'm not looking to. I don't make any money myself off this. I got some referrals, but I think Cashmagnet referral system is broken. Would the Google router work with the mesh network? Ooh, I'm going to go with Josh on here. Probably C with the NAT rules. I'm going to almost probably say not. Yeah. I have, what do I have? I have a Netgear mesh system that I don't use that could not handle the NAT rules on it. Cobra, soon, very soon, he should be doing mine. Love that. Good for you. Cobra, how big of a setup are you going? Are you going 5, 13? You shooting to be the biggest? How many phones can you fit on one business IP address? It's the same as residential, only 4 phones for Cashmagnet. Now, unless you're talking unless you're talking like the rest of them, like with my Honeygains, I have them kind of spread out over my IP addresses when I can actually get Honeygain not to crash my network. Yeah, see, hometown dispatch. Yep, I like that. Still expanding, using 7 of the 13 right now. Are you gonna hometown dispatch? Are you gonna dump all your earnings from when we get our July payments? You gonna dump all that earnings into buying more phones? And here's Josh saying, and this is what I was trying to say, before. APs are pretty transparent, or should be. It's really the router that has all the IP logic built in for the mapping private to public addresses, the NAT rules. That's where I say, that the APs are just a funnel, and it funnels everything into the router. The router does all the hard lifting, and it's complicated as hell. No No sugarcoating that. Cobra, 5 IPs. Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, it's just expensive starting up Cobra with the phones. It really is. Bobby Yek, I'm still picking up phones, trying multiple apps. I do a really terrible job at doing other apps because most of them just don't pay very well, or they're just not passive. Definitely passive is better. Oh, I almost forgot. I was going to show, where is it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Yeah. Imagine that. I lose a page. I forgot I was going to show my billing. So I'll just have to. Could have swore I had that out. Just one of those things, I guess. I know I had it opened up. I just kind of lost it. And so what are you paying for those who are you guys going through for like Hometown Dispatch? Were you going through Spectrum? What are you paying for yours going through Spectrum? For your business internet. All right, give me a second. I'm doing a terrible job of multitasking here. Oh crap, I already downloaded. Oh, I see what I've done. Maybe is it over here? No. All right. All right. Okay, so that's what I pay for my internet. I pay $135. Oops. So for me to get a cheaper bundle, I actually had to get the Spectrum Business TV, which sucks because I don't use it. But it would have been more expensive otherwise. I think I have 24 channels, and I bet I've watched. For like 6 months, I didn't even have it hooked up. 6 months I was paying for it, didn't even have it hooked up. Now I bet I watched a bit of a football game the other night, and that was it. Okay, here's a little more of a breakdown. So, because I got the Spectrum Business TV, I got a little discount. I pay for the receiver, which also sucks. I was a existing Spectrum internet user, so that's why my stuff is not as cheap as like what somebody else might be. B internet, I get 200 megabyte speeds on mine. There's my 13 static IPs, and look at that. I pay $40 for those static IPs. No, I love that. I love seeing that. Every time I look at that, static IPs, $40, and they make me $700 to $900 just on Cashmagnet. That's dirt cheap. That's a great return of investment right there. And I pay for broadcast TV that I bet I've watched it twice. So come December, I will definitely be changing plans. What really stinks for me is I live in a small town, 35,000. It's a college town, middle of Nebraska. I don't have the options of you know of other people that live in the bigger cities, with more competition. I could get AT&T, but their business internet, unbelievably, with AT&T is capped out at 50, like 50 megabytes or 48 megabytes a second. It's terrible. Alrighty, let's see. So Cobra's got the 5 IP. Start there and see if he wants to expand to 13. Bobby Yek, still picking up phones, trying multiple apps. Let's see. Okay. The cash room's grabbing 5 more phones. Bet you kick yourself for selling all those phones last year, buddy. Bobby Yek, Cashmagnet is the better passive one at the moment for sure. And let me talk about this for a bit. The newest beta is pretty doggone awesome. I'm going to give it a lot of kudos. I have not hardly had any rollback bugs. I had 1 0 bug yesterday, and that was it. I've been running it for like 3 or 4 days. Their earnings are down right now because they're having Google Play Store had a problem with one of their advertisers, which is not surprising. Their advertisers are sometimes unreliable. So once they get that sorted out, and maybe you guys have seen on your phones if you've checked today, but they've added a lot of new apps. I spent a couple of hours yesterday putting in the new apps, and that's so tedious. But if it stops from running out of time, man, whatever it takes. Running out of time has been my biggest earning killer in the past month. I have specific phones that just, they run out of time. I dump the data, and bam, 2 hours. I get like 2-3 hours of time on it, or 5. It doesn't go full, and it's really annoying. Trader Geo, if you had the phone numbers, could you run a current on each IP? I don't generally talk about the shady side of stuff like that, but yes, you could. I don't do it. Hometown Dispatch, Spectrum is 135. What I'm paying. Josh, does anyone have fiber internet service? If so, what's the speeds? I'm sure what he's asking there is about doing like Honeygain and Fluidstack and Packet Stream, because they go off the upload speeds. Now, what sucks with Spectrum is I get like 10 upload, and it's terrible. It's terrible for earnings with those. Trying to see how many passive sites and app I can stack up to get to the $5 a day, and then $10 a day solely to buy more dividend stocks. Bobby, yeah, I'm right in there with you, buddy. That's where starting next month, where 80% of my what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy like 2 or 3 phones a month to replace the 2.4 gigahertz ones. But the rest of my money is going right into stocks. Absolutely. It's going right into my Vanguard account. Cobra, I haven't gotten my network finished yet. I estimate mine will be around $300, maybe more. With 4 phones, I can do about 75 each a month. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, if you have Comcast, push them, tell them internet only, and keep pushing for a better deal. Yeah, maybe Comcast does that. Spectrum basically told me to F myself. So Spectrum is not fun to deal with. Jeez, I get 2 years for 49, 200 megabytes a second. Jealous. Hometown Dispatch. I got free setup for adding phone, which has already been canceled and turned in. Rashawn Desai. How you doing, buddy? Nice seeing you. Glad you made it. Do you have to have a business account? 50 megabytes is awful. Yeah. Get your business account. 50 megabytes is not gonna really work. Cash Room responding to my talking about him selling his phones last year. No, a lot were older models that I sold off. I'm now buying new, better phones. Yeah, I definitely. I'm weeding mine out. Let's see. I had one phone that had 13 games, but only 12 to 14 hours of time. Yeah. I eventually got fed up and contacted Cashmagnet earlier this week. I'm glad they fixed the apps. Yeah, me too. Yep. I'd say I wasn't even getting 12 to 14 hours. I was getting 3 to 4. Bobby, I have fiber optic internet with MetroNet. I have 1 gigabyte upload. Oh, that's just sick. You pay $100. Okay, I'm gonna ban Bobby Yecht for making me jealous. So jealous of Bobby. Bobby, I hope you're definitely running Honeygain, and you need to get on that Fluidstack. And I'm gonna give myself some props here. My Bobby, if you're not on Fluidstack, you can use my referral down in the description. Let's see. Had to get out of Comcast. Yeah, I can understand that. I hear a lot of people complaining about Comcast. Did anyone else get a bunch of new Cashmagnet games today? Yeah, I got mine yesterday. That was fun setting that stuff up. Let's see. Now, see, Bobby, this is where having the multiple IPs would come into play with Honeygain and Fluidstack and oh, the other one fell out the side of my ear. I can't think of it, but I need to do a video on it. Rashawn is sick. I haven't watched your video from yesterday. I need to get around to that, Rashawn. Hope you feel better soon. Packet Stream. That's what it is. I still haven't started Packet Stream yet, Josh. I need to get on that. I'm glad you pointed that out. Cobra, I've heard of some people getting banned on some of their other apps due to Honeygain or Fluidstack. I'm curious if anyone has had that issue. Josh and I were talking about that earlier. What they do is they're taking your bandwidth and so forth, and they're kicking it out as correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh. They're kicking it out as VPNs. So I'm not exactly sure how the bans are working or why. I seen on Fluidstack that they have their stuff whitelisted, because people were getting banned from like Netflix because of their IPs. Yeah, so Josh is saying so anyone can use it for anything. Uh, you know, you see this a lot on like some of the Reddit stuff where you can go to Reddit and catch any like live stream you want, and maybe these are using like your IP addresses on there. Big D, $300 a month for 20 phones, 5 IPs with $145 a month pay for internet. Not sure if it's worth the setup, but let's see. Let's do a little math here. 145, 20 phones is going to cost you. Let's throw up 800. So that's let's see, 800. Let's give Josh a couple hundred, and let's throw on another 1,200 on. Let's throw another 400 on that total. 1,200. So let's spread that over 12 months. 1,200 at 145 a month. You're only paying 245. So you're paying 245 a month. You're right. That's not a great. And that's for 12 months. That's not a great return on investment. But it is, you're actually probably making less. Will your phones be cheaper? Will your phones be more expensive? Can you get with Josh and get your setup, cheaper? But how many people have 10 or 15 phones that can run Cashmagnet? So that cuts down on your expenses right there. I definitely do encourage, well, with 5 IPs you could, you're talking 20, but you're also probably going to have other, are you going to have other phones, helping you out? Will more IP addresses help you with like Cashmagnet and Fluidstack? So, alrighty. Well, we're at an hour here, fellers. I feel like I've been talking way longer. This has been a really fun show. Definitely something that I've been meaning to do, and it was actually a lot easier going through my setup on a live stream. And I'll probably do another. I'll probably break this down and actually do a video just for it. If I know this has been kind of long and drawn out, especially taking questions and so forth. So yeah, Adrian, yeah, it was a lot of info, and so I do need to do another video. When I first did my first 2 videos, I was just showing what could be done. I didn't know what I was really doing. I definitely did not know what I was doing with YouTube. I absolutely will tell you that. I was as bad of a YouTuber as I am now. I was way worse. So, Big D, you would have to start with a minimum of 10 IPs, 40 phones to make it worthwhile. Honestly, I'm probably going to agree with you, Big D. I know that I know that the setup's not cheap. I know the phones aren't cheap. I mean, it's going to cost you. You talk about 40 phones. Josh and I were talking about this before. That's $1,600 right there, probably. And the problem is, can you actually find 40 phones to buy in bulk right away? That's tough. It's expensive, and I bought a lot of my phones on Black Friday, I got 15% discount on from eBay. But I still almost spent $1,000 on 26 phones. Then. Okay. Trader Geo, thank you very much. Might be your best info wise. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thanks all of you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Adrian, I have to probably watch it again one more time. Yeah. Hopefully I said everything right. Let's see. 2 things I learned. Use Josh, and I am so old. Yeah, I hear you there. Adrian, is Alibaba site worth trying to buy from it? Ugh. I'd say buyer beware using Alibaba. Hometown Dispatch, it's been enjoyable. Thanks for the additional live stream. You bet. So, before you guys all take off, be sure to give me a little thumbs up, will you? I appreciate that. Would like that. Be sure to subscribe as well. Don't forget that. That's important. And ring that bell to get notified when I go live, or throw up some new content. I want to give a special big shout out to Josh for showing up and answering some of you guys' questions and kind of babysitting me that I didn't screw up anything. So, I love doing these live streams. They're so much fun, and I appreciate you all for showing up. And looking forward to Tuesday. Don't forget Tuesday, another live stream. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed it tremendously. All right. See y'all. And I will catch you. Well, geez, how many times am I going to say see y'all? LOL. All right. I will catch you kids later. Have a great weekend. Be rooting for my Steelers tomorrow night. All right. See y'all. Laters.